What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Sunday Crunch Time here on Roto Grinders. We get you set for a 10-game main slate in Major League Baseball this afternoon. Happy to be with you as usual. I am Justin Van Zuden, STL Cardinals 84. We've got TJ Zwarich alongside. TJ's playing the dual analyst-producer role today, so we'll give him a break from the host duties. I'll take those, and that way TJ can focus on producing as well. Always tough with the double duty. So TJ, how you doing today?
Doing well. Appreciate you taking that on. I had a day yesterday, close to some GPP wins for the early slate, but didn't have any JJ Bleday, so my Oakland stacks felt just short. Wrote between Roto Grinders and Agents of Fandom, I had 5 articles and 3 shows yesterday. So from about 5 p.m. on, I put away the phone and just relaxed, laid down. Got a good sleep last night and ready to dive back into it today.
Yeah, it should be a fun slate today. I think we've got a little bit of weather concern with the Yankees game against Detroit. Though Kevin Roth has downgraded that. It was an orange-red this morning. He's got it as an orange-yellow now. As long as they start in the light rain, seems like they should be able to play that. Good pitching matchup today in New York with Tariq Skubal going for Detroit and Nestor Cortez going for the Yankees. So hopefully they do get to play that game. We'll keep an eye on that. If that forecast changes, we'll be sure to pass that along here during the show. Got Tim Buell alongside as well. Tim, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. My Bruins pulled it off, Justin. They pulled it off. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy about that.
Tim and I were on XM last night, so we were analyzing the Bruins game. Tim's a Bruins fan, so they got the win there in overtime. And then Tim also got to witness me randomly pick the Kentucky Derby winner because I liked his name. Even though I wagered $0 real life dollars on Mystic Dan, but that's okay. It was fun. It was kind of funny to see the horse win in a photo finish after I just kind of threw it out there on XM on a whim when we were talking about the Derby for about 10 minutes at the end of the show. But we are here to talk baseball. Again, I'll keep an eye on the weather. TJ will remind you to hit the like button to get some bombs today. We'll take your questions in the Roto Grinders live stream chat Discord. We can certainly take some from the YouTube chat as well if we get the time, but we will prioritize from the Discord. And we'll start with pitcher today. So at least we've got a reasonable amount of top options. We've got Freddie Peralta pitching today in Chicago against the Cubs with favorable weather conditions there. The aforementioned Skubal, if that game goes in New York. We've also got Joe Ryan pitching for the Twins this afternoon. That's kind of your top tier. But TJ, what are you looking at as far as pitchers go today?
First things first, I will say that we got enough likes for the first Spidey Bomb, and so Spidey Bomb number 1 is Julio Rodriguez. If we can get up to 50 likes, I got the second one for the people, so keep smashing that like button. Julio Rodriguez, Spidey Bomb number 1. In terms of pitcher today for me, I'm trying to keep as tight of a pool as I can, but I feel like there are a lot of decent options. I do feel like there are a lot of really good pivots off of the chalk too. So I'll let Tim focus more on, optimals and cash game perspective. But I think if it's possible, if you can pair Freddie Peralta and Joe Ryan, that would be fantastic. That is tough to do. You might need to go down to somebody like a Nestor Cortez or a Hunter Brown. But I do really like the potential pairing of Freddie Peralta and Joe Ryan today. Just with the weather, Roth has downgraded it. He thinks they're going to play through light rain now, but we have so many strong pitching options today. I am going to be fading Tariq Skubal and just going with a few of the other top options. But Peralta, Ryan, Cortez, Brown, all somewhat chalky players I'm keeping in my pool. Some tournament pivots that I'm looking to get a lot of. Ryan Pepio, Garrett Crochet, Bailey Falter at 6K against Colorado. I actually do have 3% Alek Manoah. Washington is my highest owned stack on the slate. Spoiler alert, but I have 3% Alek Manoah just because he has been horrific in all of his comeback attempts in rehab. until last start, he was lights out. He went like 6 innings and had like 8 strikeouts in AAA. And so if he happened to figure it out, I'll have 3% just in case. But I have Washington as my highest owned stack today, so I'm more than happy if he happens to get lit up. And then my favorite one at super low ownership, I think we're projecting him for about 3% right now, is Bryce Miller. Houston has not been good this year. Bryce Miller's been really good this year. Some Houston players are picking up a little bit of ownership. People like Tucker and Alvarez, as they always do. 6% projected ownership for Bryce Miller now. He's been really good, and I actually like him in tournaments.
All right. Yeah, I saw a crazy stat after the game last night. Seattle has now had 20 consecutive games where their starters have given up 2 earned runs or less. So pretty wild how impressive their starting rotation has been basically through the first month of the season. All right, Tim, what are you looking at pitcher today?
Yeah, so coming from a cash game or like a smaller field type perspective, I am obviously very, very high on Freddie Peralta. When I first looked at the slate, I was high on Peralta and Skubal. I cannot play Skubal in cash games just because of the weather concerns. I think he's fine for GPPs, but that weather seems a little bit too sketchy for me. I only build one team, so he is out for me, but I think he's a fine GPP play. I think that Ryan is probably going to be your SP2 in cash. And then in single entry, I'm going to pivot down to Hunter Brown. It's pretty scary matchup. Like, his control has been absolutely terrible all season long. But the Mariners do strike out quite a bit. And like Justin pointed out pre-show, like his 444 BABIP is not going to maintain that high of a level all season. So I'm going to be using Hunter Brown at an extremely cheap price tag. I do like the Faulkner call also that TJ made. I think he's only 6K. I think he's a really, really strong play in large field or single entry GPPs. But really, I would just focus for me on Peralta, Ryan, Brown, and Faulkner. Those are my 4 favorite pitchers. And then I don't really want to get to any Pepio, just for me personally. And then Cortez, like, I would like to play Cortez, but he's in the rain game, so I don't really want to deal with that. So yeah, those are my 4 top pitchers on this slate, and that's who I'm all considering for my single entry team.
All right.
I'll add quickly that the Toronto-Washington game is starting in a delay, but Roth has that at yellow-green. He said he expected the late start, but they could just wait. Then this one would be fully drive later, and an in-game delay is unlikely. So Toronto-Washington game is totally fine despite the delay. The only one we're potentially worried about is Detroit and New York.
Which, again, we'll keep an eye on that. If major circumstances change, we'll make sure we pass that along. All right. I think that pretty much covers the pitching angle. I don't really think Hunter Brown is necessary on FanDuel, where you only need the 1 pitcher, but on DraftKings, 2 pitchers. He's really cheap. Again, I'm hoping that BABIP comes around at some point. It is definitely not safe, but I'm on a little Hunter Brown today myself. All right, let's go ahead and move to the bats. We'll stick with Tim to start this one out. But Tim, what are you looking at for stacks today?
Yeah, so if you're going like the Peralta and Ryan route, you gotta save some money somewhere. So there are some pretty cheap Cleveland bats that I like quite a bit. There's also some pretty cheap Angels that I think that you can fit into your lineup. And then also I do like the Twins quite a bit. There's always some pitch hit risk with Minnesota, but the Red Sox only have 2 left-handed relievers, and they both pitched yesterday. One of them pitched like 22 pitches, so I doubt he gets much action, if any, today. So they might only have 1 lefty in the bullpen. So I do like Minnesota quite a bit. And I have to say, like, I do want to give a shout out to our RG projection team. Hunter Brown's going to be popular, and I ran Sims 150 teams for large field contests just to see what was going to pop out, and we're getting to a ton of Mariners. So just keep that in mind when you're making your tournament teams, because if Hunter Brown's control is shaky at all, it could be an absolute disastrous start, and Hunter Brown's going to be pretty popular. So getting leverage on the field with Seattle, I think is fine. Obviously not the route that I'm going, because I'm going to take a chance on Brown. But if I'm making 150 teams, don't forget to get to some Seattle, because of that ownership on Brown, and with his control issues, it could end up being a complete disaster for him.
All right, TJ, what do you like for stacks today, in addition to Washington?
Yeah, so Washington is going to be my highest owned stack, but I'm mixing it up today. Texas, I think, is the top stack, and I do like them, but I'm also trying to get to a lot of Cleveland, a lot of the Angels today, believe it or not. I love the Seattle call. I think they're one of the top stacks for tournaments today. I'm playing Hunter Brown, but I'm playing Seattle too. And then the final one I think I'd want to touch on really would just be St. Louis. I'm playing Crochet. Crochet is a great strikeout guy, also gives up a lot of power. So I want to get on the Crochet side, and I want to try and pick out some home runs too.
Yeah, the problem is the Cardinals don't have any power. So
Nolan Arenado is back, Cards. Do you not realize this? Nolan Arenado looks like he's playing in Coors Field every day now.
He does. So I saw a stat where the first two games of the Cardinal series against the White Sox, Contreras, Arenado, and Ciani were a combined 10 for 18. The rest of the Cardinals in this series against the White Sox, again, anybody not named Contreras, Arenado, Ciani, the rest of the team is 1 for 51 in the series against the White Sox of all teams. So we'll see if they can get it rolling today. I am Mr. Pessimistic fan, so don't mind me. All right, let's go position by position here. Before we get super deep into that, just a reminder, there's never been a better time to sign up for Roto Grinders Premium. So if you're interested, we've got NBA playoffs, we've got golf in full swing, NHL playoffs, MMA, baseball, of course. We've got an option for whatever level you are looking for. You can get a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250 over buying 6 months individually. And for a limited time, you can get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off. If you want to test drive before you dip your toes into the water, you can get a 3-day pass for just $19.99. So check the links in the YouTube description for more info on that. All right, let's go position by position. TJ, what do you like at catcher today?
Yeah, catcher position is actually pretty strong today. I'm trying to get to two guys in particular as much as I can. Cal Raleigh for Seattle in any lineup that I'm not playing. Hunter Brown. I want to get to as much Raleigh as I can. Wilson Contreras for the Cardinals. Want to get to Wilson for the Cardinals. Both of those guys I like a ton. And then Jonah Heim batting 5th today for Texas. Another guy I like quite a bit. Those are going to be my 3 favorites. I don't mind Sal Perez. I don't mind Ryan Jeffers, but they fall quite a bit behind those 3 for me. And then if I need to save salary, I'm either going to Alejandro Kirk or Matt Thaiss.
All right, yeah, catcher not too bad today compared to what we see a lot of times. So I don't mind getting some catcher exposure, even maybe a little bit on FanDuel today where you don't necessarily need one. Don't mind playing one today regardless. And Wilson Contreras has really been the only Cardinal consistently hitting throughout the year. And he is in a good lineup spot today if you are not on Crochet. All right, Tim, what do you like at catcher today?
Yeah, there's definitely some strong catchers. I don't think I can pay all the way up in cash games, but I think getting to somebody like Ryan Jeffers is okay at 4,600. I also like Bo Naylor quite a bit at 35. I think you have to consider punting catcher always in cash games, or just part of your Toronto stack with Alejandro Kirk at only 2,700. Projections really don't like Gore today. So, I mean, getting a cheap catcher in that lineup, I think is completely fine for really, really dirt cheap. And then we've already talked about the Mariners. So like the big dumper at 4K, I think he's a fantastic GPP play. Same thing with Mitch Garver. So I think those would be my 4 favorite catchers.
Yeah, I don't mind getting some of those Seattle catcher exposure as well. Contreras. I'm on Texas. I like kind of Texas as I didn't really give thoughts on a stack, but I like the Texas offense today. Weird slate. We don't have any team that's projected for more than 5 runs. I know it's kind of been a weird year as far as offense goes. Hopefully, things pick up as we get into the summer months for bats in general, but we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move to first base. Tim, what are you liking at first today?
Yeah, first base is a little bit of a weird position for me. Nothing like really sticks out as a must play or top play. Like Vlad is the top play in projections, followed closely by Josh Naylor. Either one of those two is like high spend up options. I think are completely fine. Then I noticed that Justin, you tagged both Drury and Chenol for cheap guys at first base going up against Carlos Carrasco. So I think those are fine punts. Definitely good plays. I do like the Angels quite a bit today as a cheap stack, so I have no issue paying down for those guys. I like Alex Kirilloff quite a bit at 4,400, and I think that honestly, I would probably play him at first over the outfield. So I think he's a fine play for tournaments as well.
Yeah, again, just kind of goes to the weird nature of this kind of slate where you can say, okay, the Angels without Mike Trout, kind of a good offense that we like on this slate, just because they're cheap. I mean, you can easily get an Angels stack with Peralta and with some high-end one-off bats that you really like, which is, obviously their primary appeal. We don't expect the Angels to go out and score 10 runs. But if they score 5 or 6 and you get the right pitchers and the right one-off bats, that could be enough on this slate. So that's my logic behind some of those cheap Angels guys as well. TJ, what do you like at first base?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I have 0% Vladimir Guerrero, who is projected for the most fantasy points today in our projections. Chenot and Drury, 2 guys that I like quite a bit as well. Justin Turner is the Blue Jay I'm going to play if I want to play a Blue Jay. I don't mind a little bit of Vinny P as a one-off or in a mini stack, but it is just really not that strong of a position today. And so mostly I'm just playing whoever's in my stack.
Yeah, it's kind of been the refrain for first base this year, not as strong as what we're used to seeing in previous years. And we didn't certainly think a year ago we'd be saying, play Justin Turner as the guy you want over Vladimir Guerrero, but it's just kind of the way things roll right now. All right, let's go ahead and move to second base. I'll stick with you, TJ. What do you like at second today?
We are only 5 likes away from the third Spidey Bomb, so keep smashing that like button. First one is Julio Rodriguez. Second one, CJ Abrams. You can get both of them for plus 450 or better if you want to make a bet on them today. So second base, David Schneider, Marcus Semien, Jorge Polanco. All 3 of these guys are just so great. It's weird how much stronger of a position this is today than first base. Altuve against Bobby Miller, probably not for me, but Schneider, Semien, Polanco, Jimenez, Drury, Julien, Garcia, all of these guys near the top I'm looking to get to. I have a little bit of Michael Massey, a little bit of Bryce Terang. He's up getting higher in the lineup, but he's all the way up to 5th now, so I don't mind him. But Schneider and Polanco are probably going to be my favorite. I think Polanco is going to be a nice pivot off of the higher-owned Schneider. And then if you can get him, Semien's the top option.
All right, Tim, what do you like at second base today?
Yeah, second base, Julian is my favorite, batting second at 4,700. He's going to be with my twin stack and single entry. I think that if I was looking for like a quote-unquote safer play, it'd probably be David Schneider, as weird as that sounds, but he's only 4K, batting right in the middle of that Toronto lineup, so I think he's a very, very strong play. I think Michael Massey, only 3K. He's been playing pretty well. He gets the platoon advantage. He's very, very cheap. He's batting in the middle of the lineup, so I think he's fine for a salary saving option. But yeah, second base, I think it's either part of your stack or going with a guy like Julian Snyder or Massey.
Pretty remarkable, the power numbers that Julian's been able to put up there. I mean, he's got ISO that's right there among the highest on the team, and the Twins team. I mean, Buxton gets hurt, but they still keep on rolling. They have won 12 in a row now, so certainly a team that, you know, we don't expect them to be an offensive juggernaut, but they keep on finding ways to win ball games. So kudos to the Twins for trying to keep that winning streak going, as they will look to get to 13 in a row today with one of their better pitchers on the mound. So again, if you are just joining us, we're going through position by position here. We're about halfway through. We've got 23 minutes to go until lineups lock, so you can get your questions in. We will prioritize questions in the live stream chat channel in the Roto Grinders Discord. You do not have to be a premium subscriber in order to access that. You just have to be a Roto Grinders member. So get in rotogrinders.com/Discord, get in the live stream chat channel, and get your questions in there. It is pretty quiet so far, so if you get your questions in, we'll be happy to take them. TJ, what's the like count looking at these days?
We are up to 83, so we got Spidey Bomb number 3 in here. It's time, and Spidey Bomb number 3 is, you can get him for plus 600. Jonah Heim batting 5th today for Texas. I brought up how I like the catcher position, and that goes right into the Spidey Bombs because Jonah Heim is number 3 after Julio Rodriguez and CJ Abrams. If we can get up to 100 likes, I got a 4th for the people. So keep smashing that like button. Are we taking it over to do I take it to 3rd?
Go for it.
Jose Ramirez up top, if you can get to him, is going to be my favorite option. But Josh Rojas is a salary saver. I think is probably the top one, especially if you're not playing Hunter Brown. Even if you are playing cash today and you're playing Hunter Brown, I do think that you can still play Rojas in that lineup. It's like you said, we're used to 1st and 3rd being the top options, and they really just aren't at all. And so 3rd is I'm mostly playing guys in my stacks outside of Ramirez and Rojas today. Nick Senzel is another cheap option I like. I'm getting to a fair amount of him in and out of my Washington stacks, but it's just such a gross position. It's Ramirez, Rojas, Senzel, and stacks. That's it for me. And Nolan Arenado, because he's back in Coors all the time.
He's been the one good bat of late, him and Contreras, and then basically everybody else. So at least as far as the Cardinals are concerned, like the call on Nick Senzel hitting cleanup for Washington against Manoah. The ownership is kind of spread out here between people going cheap and, spending up, because there is quite a salary difference. If you look at our highest projected owned guys like Rojas, Jose Ramirez is basically twice the price of him. So just a lot of different ways you can take this position today. That, it used to be the position, hey, we've got to spend up at 3rd. Maybe not necessarily the case anymore. So, Tim, what do you like at 3rd today?
Yeah, I really struggle with 3rd base today for both cash and single entry. So I elected to just pay all the way up to J-Ram. Griffin Canning is really struggled this year. Ramirez is a safe-ish option for at least some raw points. So I went with J-Ram in both single entry and cash. I agree with TJ. If you want to go down, I would either go to Rojas or Senzel. I actually prefer Senzel a little bit more than Rojas, but I think really 3rd base is not very strong today. A lot of these guys, I think, are pretty overpriced. So I'm either going, I went J-Ram, but I'd either go J-Ram or Senzel for cash games, and maybe possibly Rojas.
Yeah, depending on, I think you can just kind of let your roster construction decide. If you need a cheap guy, that's fine. Brian Hayes is getting some ownership. Devers as a contrarian play, obviously, with a lot of people on Joe Ryan. A few different ways you can take this, depending on how you want your lineup builds to look. So that is probably good for 3rd base discussion. Tim, I will keep it with you. Let's go ahead and move it on over to short, which usually these days, at least, has been a little bit of a stronger spot.
Yeah, shortstop's absolutely loaded today. Punting at the shortstop position, I do not think is a good idea. Really on most slates this season, and definitely not on this one. I would say that Corey Seager is the top overall shortstop, followed very closely by CJ Abrams. I think both of them are like standout plays today. If you're a believer in Toronto today, like Bo Bichette at 4,800, I think is a very, very strong play. And then, of course, Bobby Witt, who is absolutely outstanding raw talent baseball player. So really all four of those guys, I would really not punt this position in cash games. I would pay up to one of those four guys. And then obviously, you can get to guys like Lindor or O'Neill Cruz as part of stacks, or Willie Castro as part of your twin stack. So really, there's a lot of options, or Carlos Correa too. So I mean, this shortstop's absolutely loaded today, and I would not go very low looking for a shortstop.
All right, TJ, what do you like at shortstop today?
3 likes away for the next Spidey Bump, so keep smashing that like button. We also got some updates from Roth. Doesn't look like they're going to be delaying in New York, and so he says he assumes they're just going to give it a go. Likely be playing through spotty light rain early, more steady light rain mid-game. And then the Rangers and Royals have been delayed due to rain, and then in his weather report, it says might end up needing a late start here, but the game will play, so no worries there either. Seager and Abrams are going to be kind of 1A and 1B for me here. They're the two that I have the most of. But Bobby Witt, Bo Bichette, 2 strong options. I'm not getting to any Francisco Lindor or O'Neill Cruz, which worries me. Same with Willie Adames. I don't have any, and that worries me because this is such a loaded position. But I am getting to a bit of Correa, some Dylan Moore, a little bit of. No, I actually don't have any Anthony Volpe. That's not true. So outside of the big guys, it's only the ones in my stacks, but I'm trying to get to as much of Seager, Witt, and Abrams as I can.
All right. Yeah, I really like Corey Seager. Seems like people tend to sleep on him just a little bit in lefty-lefty matchups, but Lynch is probably not going to go deep for the Royals today. I believe he threw on Wednesday, so he's only on 3 days rest. And only threw like 45, 50 pitches. So not fully stretched out, probably not going to go deep into the game. So don't fear Seager in the lefty-lefty matchup. I know he's struggled a little bit so far this season, but so has Bo Bichette and everybody's still playing him. So why don't use the same logic differently for multiple players? Do totally agree on the Abrams call, of course, as well, that I believe you guys were in agreement on. So, all right, we've got 15 minutes left until roster lock. If you're trying to build those last-minute lineups, don't forget about SimLabs if you're a RotoGrinders Premium subscriber, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, which is now available for NBA, PGA, and baseball. With a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built, correlated lineups for whatever contest you are playing. You do get access to SimLabs with your RotoGrinders Premium subscription. So, all right, let's take it to the outfield, and then we will start rolling into questions. TJ, what do you like in the outfield this afternoon?
Julio Rodriguez, the Spidey Bomb, probably my top option here. Outside of that, I'm fading a lot of the other top options here. Alvarez, Tucker, Springer, not getting into these guys. I do have some Schneider. Aaron Judge, I think, is a great low-owned, expensive tournament option today. Adolis Garcia, probably my favorite spend-up on the slate if I'm going up above Julio Rodriguez. But I do think outfield is a fantastic spot to go cheap today. Jacob Young leading off. Mickey Moniak hitting second. Estevan Florial leading off. Love all of these guys today. Tommy Pham batting second. Another really strong play. So I'm going to be going cheap a lot in the outfield or all the way up to a Judge or Garcia. And then in the mid-range, I like some Taylor Ward. I like Eloy Jimenez at 3,900 and Jesse Winker at 4K too.
All right, I don't mind, like you say, lots of, and we get this a lot on Sundays. Some guys, that are a little bit cheaper, hitting in better lineup spots. Sometimes you'll get a guy that gets a day off. Moniak, is mainly just attrition on that roster. Tommy Pham, Robbie Grossman, Dylan Carlson is back for the Cardinals today. He had really good at bats in his rehab stint, for what it's worth. And I'm not still banging the drum that I think Dylan Carlson's going to be a star or anything like that. But throughout his career, he has hit lefties pretty well. And he is hitting 5th today for the Cardinals in his return at 2,400 on DraftKings. I think you could do worse than Carlson if you need a punt as well. So, Tim, what do you like in the outfield today?
Yeah, so if I have all the salary in the world, Dallas Garcia would be my top spend option at 5,700 going up against Lynch. I think he's in an absolutely fantastic spot. I don't know if I'll have the money, but he would be the guy. He would be my top spend. I do like George Springer quite a bit at 4,600. I've mentioned the Twins quite a bit. They're one of my favorite stacks on the board. So I do like Max Kepler at 4,300. TJ mentioned guys like Willie Calhoun and Florial as like cheap punt options. My lineup HQ just went down, so now I'm scrambling. Taylor Ward, I think, is an interesting tournament play in the mid-range, going up against Carrasco. And then I've already mentioned guys like Alex Kirilloff. If you're not playing him at first, I think you can play him in the outfield. Same thing with like Trevor Larnach also. Davis Snyder, I think, is a great play if you're not playing him at second. But yeah, it's kind of like I don't think you have to prioritize like super high spend ups in the outfield today. Just because like the super expensive guys, in my opinion, are not really in the best spots, or they have like rainout concerns. So I think that like maybe living in the mid 4s or like 3K range in outfield for optimals today is not a bad play.
All right, let's see. Rolling through the chat here, quite a bit of discussion in the YouTube chat about Seager still being injured. He had a procedure done in the off season, so I mean, certainly valid to worry about that a little bit. I'm not sure if baseball DFS is frustrating because we're a month into the season. These guys have 100, 150 plate appearances. That's still a really small sample in the grand scheme of MLB. So obviously, if you're worried about Seager nursing an injury still, there's plenty of options at shortstop. So I just like Texas as a stack today. So I've got him in a lot of Texas stacks, but plenty of other high-end options at shortstop for sure. If you're worried about somebody, just, click another high-end name in there if you want to. So I'm not going to demand that everybody play him because obviously there are different schools of thought on whether he's still recovering or not. So, all right, TJ, let's see where we're at 104 likes. I'm not sure if you already gave out the 4th bomb or not.
Scrolling through the bottom, we got Julio Rodriguez, CJ Abrams, Jonah Heim, Adolis Garcia. Garcia felt a little bit too obvious, but I was looking and you can get him for plus 335, and I don't mind that whatsoever. So Adolis Garcia, number 4 today. If you got to go obvious, you got to go obvious because no one's hitting home runs this year.
All right. Also, it seems like so I'm kind of the weekend guy here. It seems like does Dean have a special graphic? I need to know. What is this?
What do you mean you don't watch Grinders live during the week?
Well, guys? I'm usually at work, so apologies for the day job.
Yeah. We usually have a graphic where we rank stacks and have a little theme behind it.
Oh man, Dean, I feel like I've let Dean down. I'm gonna have to work on this, at least some little shtick on the weekends to compete with Dean, but I don't have that today. So I was just scrolling through the YouTube chat to see, and I saw you guys talking about it. So, all right, let's go to some questions. 10 minutes to go until the games begin for today. So I'll start again in the Discord with Falcor. I'll let you guys both answer this because I don't know if we talked about him a whole lot. But TJ, any interest in John Gray in a FanDuel single entry at pitcher?
Nope.
That was quick. Tim, any interest in John Gray?
No.
All right. No, it is. The jury has spoken. Jay Sam's asking me on lower scoring projected slates like this, does it lead you to playing more mini stacks due to uncertainty? or taking a stand and going like full 4-4 stacks. I usually take a stand because I think ownership tends to spread out a little bit. And if you do get the one team that happens to go nuts, yesterday it was a little bit of an outlier because there was quite a few, but like Oakland in the early games yesterday, scoring 20, it just gives you a huge leg up. So, yeah, that's how I do it. Different ways to approach it, but that's my approach anyway. All right, Tim, we've got a FanDuel, a couple cash questions here, so I'll throw these both to Tim. Greatness asking, FanDuel cash, do you prefer as a spend up in the outfield? Do you prefer Yordan Alvarez or Adolis Garcia?
It's Garcia for me.
All right, and BJ Adam asking, in DK cash, who would be your two favorite pitchers?
In DK cash, it would be Peralta and Ryan.
All right, so the double spend up, I think you can get there today fairly easily without sacrificing the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you still have 3,700 left per bat, so I think that's really plenty on the slate.
Yeah, there's a good amount of cheap options as well at most of the positions, so I think you spend up at short for sure, but otherwise you can find values at the other positions. All right, TJ, any interest in a White Sox stack?
Yeah, actually, I don't hate the White Sox today. I'd rather play them as a mini stack with some Eloy Jimenez and like maybe just one or two others. But they're my lowest owned stack of teams that are in the pool, but they are in my pool. So I would prioritize Jimenez, Tommy Pham, and then maybe Andrew Vaughn. But they're so cheap; they really do allow you to get up to the double spend up, and it's not like we're really worried about Liberatore.
Yeah, it's basically a bullpen game for the Cardinals. So Liberatore is probably going to go, from what I read this morning, he's probably going to go about 3 innings. And then it's effectively a bullpen game because he's not fully stretched out. Matz is on the injured list. So it's a bullpen game. And the problem is that the Cardinals' 2 best relievers, Romero and Helsley, have both pitched in the first 2 games of the series. So they're both probably unavailable today. So it's basically 3 innings of Liberatore, and then the Cardinals trying to scratch together whatever they can out of the middle part of their bullpen, which could be good enough against the White Sox. But, the White Sox are also really cheap. So I think there's some merit behind that as well. All right. NBA DFS is asking Tim for DK cash. Rank the cheap guys here. Jacob Young, Tommy Pham, and Florial.
Florial, Pham, and what was the last one?
Jacob Young.
Yeah, Jacob Young would be third for me.
All right. All hitting either first or second today. I think all 3 of them are certainly fine. Probably wouldn't, make that your whole outfield in cash games, but you could, and then spend up everywhere else.
I think you probably want one of Adolis Garcia or Julio Rodriguez in the outfield, but I don't think you need it. I do think you can go triple cheap.
All right. Jay Sams, TJ asking, last piece of a Seattle stack, do you prefer Luke Raley or Moore?
I would go Moore.
All right. DFS Dre asking DraftKings cash question. Tim, last piece, which Angel do you want, Moniak or Adele?
That's pretty close. I think it's Moniak.
All right. Let's see. People have one question on the later slate, favorite stacks for the late afternoon games. So there are 4 of those today: Miami and Oakland, Baltimore, Cincinnati, San Diego, Arizona, and then the Braves and the Dodgers. We have a decent amount of good pitching on the late slate today. Lodolo, Fried, James Paxton on the mound this afternoon, but you do have like the Padres against Ryan Nelson. Sixto Sanchez has been a disaster. If you believe in Oakland after scoring 20 yesterday, you got the Diamondbacks against Matt Waldron. So those would kind of be your top offenses in the later afternoon slate. All right, about 4 minutes left here. We are caught up on the questions in the Discord side. Let me keep scrolling through the YouTube chat. People talking about Oakland and happy Cinco de Mayo for sure. We Major 72. Can you recap the starting pitchers for FanDuel tournaments? And maybe since it's been a while, we can just touch on pitcher again really quick. TJ, your quick thoughts here at pitcher today.
If you can get to them, your top options are by far Freddie Peralta and Joe Ryan. I'm avoiding Tariq Skubal because of the weather, but I am taking a couple shots on Nestor Cortez. Not very highly owned, though. As tournament pivots off the big guns, I like Bryce Miller and Ryan Pepio, but would only be trying that out in MME builds. Wouldn't be doing that in single entry style. And then if I got to get cheaper, I like Garrett Crochet in the mid tier. I like the Cardinal stacks too, because Crochet gives up a lot of power, but he does have the strikeout upside. And then if you need to go cheap, Hunter Brown's fine, but I also think he's going to be somewhat chalky. I would rather go to Bailey Falter.
All right, Tim, your thoughts at pitcher here real quick.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. It's Peralta is easily the top option on both sites. I'm staying away from Skubal just like TJ. Ryan is your SB2 cash game pitcher on DK. For tournaments at the cheap end, I really like Hunter Brown and Bailey. Sorry, the Pirates guy. I'm losing his name here. Falter, yeah, Bailey Falter. I like him as a SB2 punt.
All right, important question from PSSA asking pancakes or omelets for breakfast. Tim, are you a pancakes or an omelets or option C?
Can I just do both?
Can you do both? One? That's certainly. TJ, what's the breakfast etiquette in Canada?
The biggest,
is it any different?
It's very, very normal, very, very similar. The biggest misconception is because Americans decided to call a certain type of back bacon, which is basically ham, Canadian bacon. They think we eat that ham as opposed to bacon, but no, we just eat bacon like everybody else does. It's the Americans that named it Canadian bacon. And so it's very normal.
I remember the first time I ever had Canadian bacon, I'm like, this is ham.
yeah, it's literally just ham, but like that, it wasn't Canada that did that, you know?
Yeah.
And so between pancakes and waffles, I would go, or pancakes and omelets, I would go pancakes, but I do like, pancakes, waffles. I'm a big crepes guy. That's kind of my breakfast specialty, is making crepes. And then if I'm going to a restaurant, I try and get like a big traditional. So like over easy eggs, some hash browns, some bacon or sausage, and then like a pancake on the side.
It's making me hungry for sure. Yeah, people are throwing waffles into the mix too. And now everybody's talking Canada. We're off on the Canada tangent in the YouTube chat. Dean says if I promise to watch, they'll power rank the breakfast foods tomorrow. Only if it's accompanied by a graphic. That's the only way I will. I'll check it out.
I'm so hungry right now.
Everybody's ready. Everybody's ready for brunch now on a Sunday. All right, we are caught up with the questions on the Discord, and lock is in about 10 seconds. So make sure you get those final lineups in. Again, it sounds like the Yankees game is going to be good to go. Potential issue later in the game with some heavier rain, but at least they are going to get it started there in New York today. Tim, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. Enjoyed it. Good luck, everyone.
All right. Producer/analyst TJ, anything else?
No, Izzy making me laugh in chat. The Dean will list oatmeal #1 in the tiers.
Oh man, well, it's always a fun sidebar when Dean is involved. So with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody. Enjoy the baseball, and we'll be back tomorrow with our normal start of the work week content. Thanks to TJ, thanks to Tim. I'm Justin, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Take care.